Picture this. You're at a family gathering, the kind you've attended for decades, and a relative flashes you a bright smile while slipping in a comment like, "Oh, you're still doing that old job?" How quaint. It stings, but you brush it off because it's wrapped in niceness. No raised voices, no confrontation, just a polite jab that leaves you questioning yourself. That's the insidious nature of disrespect today. It rarely looks like outright rudeness. Most of us miss it entirely because it arrives disguised as smiles, courtesy, and everyday pleasantries. If you've navigated life long enough, you've felt this subtle erosion of your standing, wondering why certain interactions leave you unsettled. Today, we're peeling back the layers on polite disrespect, why it's so hard to spot, how it undermines you, and most importantly, how to handle it with the quiet authority that comes from years of wisdom. Let's dive in and reclaim the respect you've earned. At its core, this form of disrespect thrives under a social mask, where civility becomes a tool for dominance without the risk of backlash. People use politeness as camouflage because it lets them assert superiority while dodging accountability. If you call them out, you risk looking overly sensitive or aggressive. It's more dangerous than overt insults because it slips under the radar, chipping away at your confidence over time. Think about how societies have long relied on these veiled tactics. In professional circles or social hierarchies, a gentle tone can hide sharp intentions, allowing the speaker to maintain the high ground. This isn't accidental, it's a calculated way to unsettle you without leaving fingerprints, exploiting our innate desire for harmony to keep the power imbalance intact. One of the most telling signs is the smile that isn't truly friendly. You've seen it, that grin where the mouth curves up, but the eyes stay cold and shadowed, like they're assessing rather than connecting. Micro-expressions give it away. Subtle cues like tension around the eyes, a slight delay in the smile's onset, or a mismatch between the expression and the words. Psychologically, these fake smiles signal insincerity, an evolutionary holdover from our ancestors who needed to detect allies from foes and social groups. When someone pairs this with a backhanded remark, it's not warmth you're receiving, it's a veiled challenge, designed to make you doubt your place without an open fight. Over the years, you've likely encountered these in conversations that felt off, leaving a lingering discomfort you couldn't quite pinpoint. But why doesn't your brain immediately flag this as a threat? Neuroscience tells us our minds are wired to prioritize overt dangers, like a shout or a glare over subtle ones, a remnant of survival instincts focused on immediate physical risks. In modern life, this means polite disrespect often bypasses our alarm systems, blending into the background noise of daily interactions. We're conditioned to value politeness as a social lubricant, so we overlook the undercurrents, rationalizing them as misunderstandings. This blind spot grows with age if unchecked, as accumulated experiences can make us more tolerant, but it also equips us with the insight to recognize patterns others miss. The result? We absorb these slights, letting them accumulate like quiet weights on our self-assurance. Beneath it all lies the status game, where politeness is wielded to subtly elevate one person over another, through tone perhaps overly saccharine or condescending timing, like interrupting with a helpful suggestion or framing that positions their view as superior. People play this game to assert dominance without conflict. It's about maintaining hierarchy. A delayed response to your email or a casual dismissal in a meeting isn't forgetfulness. It's a signal of perceived importance. In our later years, we've seen enough of these dynamics in careers and communities to know they're not random, they're strategic moves in an unspoken competition for respect. You've probably experienced these common tactics without fully labeling them as disrespect. Interruptions during your stories, phrased as eager contributions, backhanded compliments like, "You look great for your age," forced jokes that poke at your choices under the guise of humor, delayed responses that make you chase approval, or public corrections that undermine your expertise in front of others. These aren't isolated incidents. They're patterns designed to test boundaries politely, eroding your position bit by bit. Reflect on your own life, that colleague who smiles while overriding your idea, or the friend who laughs off your concern with a light-hearted quip. It's familiar because it's pervasive, yet we often let it slide to keep the peace. The real trap comes when you feel compelled to call it out directly. Doing so emotionally can make you look weak, as it validates the disrespect by showing it's gotten under your skin. Reacting with frustration or defensiveness hands them the win. They've provoked a response, proving their subtle power play worked. Instead of halting the behavior, it invites more, positioning you as reactive rather than resolute. We've all fallen into this at some point, especially in heated moments. But experience teaches that knee-jerk confrontations rarely restore balance. They escalate the game on their terms. That's where the power of controlled non-reaction shines. By remaining unimpressed and neutral, you deny them the emotional reward they're seeking, whether it's validation or a rise out of you. This isn't ignoring the issue, it's a deliberate choice to withhold engagement, forcing the disrespecter to either drop the mask or expose themselves. Think of it as a poker face honed over decades. Your calm demeanor creates uncertainty, shifting the discomfort back to them. In practice, this means a brief pause, a neutral expression, and moving on without fuel for their fire. It's a subtle strength that older, wiser individuals master, turning potential weakness into quiet command. For a high-status response that truly shuts it down, opt for strategies like silence to let the awkwardness hang, redirection to steer the conversation elsewhere, minimal acknowledgement such as a nod without elaboration, or frame control by reframing their comment positively on your terms. These aren't aggressive, they're elegant deflections that maintain your elevation. For instance, to a backhanded compliment, a simple "thanks" followed by changing the subject preserves your dignity without dissent. Leaders and seasoned professionals use this instinctively, knowing that true authority doesn't stoop, it redirects. If left unchecked, this politeness can morph into outright contempt, as repeated slights normalize the behavior and embolden the perpetrator. What starts as a subtle jab escalates to more overt dismissals, especially if they sense no pushback. Over time, this pattern can poison relationships, turning cordial interactions into underlying tensions that simmer beneath the surface. We've witnessed this in long-term partnerships or work environments where initial niceties give way to resentment when boundaries aren't enforced early. Yet there's a crucial difference between confidence and confrontation. Real authority doesn't require aggression, which often betrays low leverage or insecurity. Confidence operates from a place of inner security, using measured responses that don't escalate but resolve. Aggression might feel cathartic in the moment, but it signals you're rattled, undermining the very respect you're defending. As we age, this distinction becomes clearer. True power is calm, not combative, drawing on the poise we've cultivated through life's trials. Interestingly, polite disrespect often targets competent, respected people precisely because of their strength. It's an attempt to level the playing field. Born from envy or intimidation, capable individuals threaten others' egos, prompting these veiled challenges to reclaim perceived superiority. If you're accomplished in your field or life, this might ring true. It's not a flaw in you, but a backhanded acknowledgement of your stature. Recognizing this flips the script, turning their tactics into unwitting compliments. This behavior crops up most in familiar social environments, workplaces where hierarchies breed subtle competitions, group settings like clubs or events where egos clash politely, family dynamics laden with history and unspoken resentment, professional circles networking under a veneer of civility, and even public interactions, from stores to community gatherings. These are the arenas where we've spent years building our reputations, making the slights feel all the more personal. Ignoring it comes at a long-term cost, slowly eroding your reputation, positioning, and influence. Unaddressed polite disrespect sets a precedent, teaching others that such behavior is acceptable, which diminishes your standing over time. What begins as minor can accumulate into lost opportunities, strained alliances, and a subtle shift in how people perceive your authority. In retrospect, many of us can trace pivotal moments where tolerating these eroded our leverage, a lesson hard-learned but invaluable. Finally, remember this rule. Respect is maintained through your actions, not demanded with words. Every reaction or lack thereof teaches people how to treat you, reinforcing boundaries without fanfare. By consistently choosing high-status responses, you cultivate an environment where genuine respect flourishes, free from veiled games. It's a principle that resonates deeply as we grow older, emphasizing that our legacy isn't in loud assertions, but in the quiet enforcement of our worth. So the next time a smiling slight comes your way, pause, respond with grace, and watch the dynamics shift in your favor. You've earned that command, now live it.